Just like always, a lot has changed since yesterday. I've got a lot to tell you about. I've got some real good progress on the Washburn guitar. I think we might have identified the mystery item, and I've got a couple of photographs that I think you'll find very interesting. We'll tell you about all that and show you everything right after this. Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. It is Tuesday, January 24th, and ordinarily that would mean we will be at Dickey's Barbecue this evening, and I'm still planning to be there. However, they're predicting a major snowstorm, and it's supposed to start just about at 6 o'clock, which would be our normal starting time at Dickey's. If it looks like there's going to be a major snow, we may have to call it off. I think Beverly's already making those noises like she's not going to be there. So, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But there's a chance we won't be there this evening, and just in case. But if the weather looks good, I'll be there, even if I'm there by myself. I did make some good progress on the Washburn guitar. Take a look at this. Oh. It's missing a body. Yeah, I heated this up, slid the knife in there, popped that loose. Then I just took this and just tried to wiggle a little bit, and I could just hear it pop loose. It was just like glass. It just broke loose. That hide glue is so fragile. And it just lifted right out. I didn't have to steam it. I didn't have to do anything. Now, I did drill the holes in there in preparation of it, but those holes, you can see, are a long way from the tiny little taper it has on this. So it wouldn't have done any good anyway to try the hole option with this, because the frets don't align with this one. But anyway, I'm glad it just came out on its own. That just saved all kinds of hassle. And I showed you maybe that this was out of alignment back here, and it's still out of alignment. But look at my little rig that I rigged up to, this is called creative clamping again. And let me just bring the camera down here and I'll show you a little more detail about what I did here. First of all, I just took one of these normal clamps that normally is a squeeze clamp, and I reversed this to the other side, turned it around, and so it becomes a push, so it's a spreader now. So that's what I did. So I have this spreader in here, and I have a block against the neck block. So there's a block taking up space inside here, so this is actually pressing on a block that's pressing on the neck block. I made myself a long strip of wood that was just right to press on the top of the tail block. So then I have this thing spreading against those two things, and that pushed the sides out. Nearly perfect. It's not quite there yet. I need to push it a little bit more, but I left it set like this with just pressure on it overnight, hoping that that would relax it enough that I could press it the rest of the way this morning and get glue on this. So anyway, there's some creative clamping for you, and creative use of clamps. So you can file that in your file cabinet and hopefully use that sometime down the road. And, as I mentioned in the last Friday shop talk, or at least I think it was last Friday, it might have been the week before, the way my memory is, one of the very best tips you'll ever hear me say on this channel is you don't try to fix the whole thing, or you don't try to build the whole thing. You just try to fix this one little piece, and you just try to build just this one little piece. And then you set that aside, and then you do the next little thing. And that's the way I'm approaching this guitar. There's so many things wrong with it. I started with the bridge plate, fixed that. Then I made a bridge, fixed that. Then I took the neck out. Now I'm working on the sides. So you just do one thing at a time. Don't think about the whole problem because it's too overwhelming, Just do one little thing, fix that, next little thing, fix that, and move on. That's the best advice you'll ever get from me. Believe it or not. I mentioned I think we have solved the mystery here. And I say think because I'm not 100% certain. I'm about 90% certain, maybe not even that much. First of all, I have not seen anything on the internet that looks just like this. In other words, it has the graduated holes in it, but this does appear to be some form of a syringe. And I believe it's pronounced clyster, C-L-Y-S-T-E-R. And clysters were used during the Civil War, and roughly 150, 160 years ago, whether it was Civil War or not, they used them for medicinal purposes. And what they did was they would use it to squeeze medicine into a wound. So maybe you had, some kind of an ointment or something in this, and you would have it's like a syringe. You'd press this on in. My thought is this might have been two pieces. There may have been another piece on this. In other words, this was a tube at one time. It's not supposed to be squeezed out like this. And for the few people that still think this is a squeeze tube, it's not. It's way too thick a material. You can't squeeze this with your hand. It's a thick copper. The only thing that still throws me about this being some sort of a syringe deal is this end. And the end is still blocked off. And I suppose it's possible that this end comes out somehow that I'm just not aware of. But anyway, I do have some photographs of early ones of these. They don't match exactly, but they're fairly similar. Here's some photographs. Well, I hope you enjoyed those pictures, one of them being a little bit humorous there with the guy writing on top of this. But you can see that there are some very good similarities there. And you can see kind of how it was made. Now, I have not seen a single one with these alignment holes and with the graduation. So that even makes me think more that this is something for medicine because of the graduations. One person that was trying to help me said that address, 227 Broadway in New York, is now high rent office space, but at one time it was the Surgical Rubber Company, and in fact that the sign is still on the building. All these years later, there's still some raised lettering or something on the building. So where this, came from apparently was Surgical Rubber Company, which makes sense that it is something like we're talking about. Anyway, I want to thank you all for all your help on this. It does look like we're about to solve the mystery, although it's still a little edgy as to specifically what it is or specifically how it was used. I mentioned I have some photographs that I think you'll find interesting. I've told you that I have found two old house places back on my farm that really there was no evidence of other than that one small rock piled up wall that was basically covered over by dirt. You can't really even see it very well. And other than that evidence, you would never know there was anything going on back there. Beyond that yet, another few hundred yards past the end of my property, there's the Kitchell place, K-I-T-C-H-E-L. That place was occupied for sure in the early 1800s to probably late 1800s. So here's some photographs of their graveyard that I think you'll find very interesting. Well, I hope you enjoyed those pictures there. It's in a very eerie place. There's giant pine trees around right there. There's no fence around it. There are a few other stones, rocks protruding from the ground that I think were grave markers also, but they're just rough, big rocks. So I don't know how many people were really buried there, but I'm going to guess about 5. Now that stone marker there, I can't really make it out. If I would have had a piece of paper and pencil, I would have done a rubbing on it. I can't really read what it says. Hopefully you can blow it up or take a look on your big screen and see if it says anything that you can make out. It looked like the first name on that might have been Lodi, L-O-D-I, but I'm not even sure of that. I cut about 2 or 2.5 loads of wood yesterday. I hauled one of those loads back and dumped it, of course, and I'm using that presently. I think I'm going to go out there this afternoon and haul one more load before the big snow hits. And that way I'll have plenty of wood to get me through the snow. That's going to be about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with another update.